All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Irrational Confidence Podcast. We're talking NFL football, and it's the Super Bowl, the last game of the year, the last official game of the season here. I don't know what I'm going to watch after this is all said and done. Yeah, but I'll be tuned in this Sunday. I'm ready. Kansas City, Philadelphia, two crazy fan bases, two great cities. And I'm joined by my co-host, the man who could not figure out a way to sneak into this year's Super Bowl, my co-host, Fresh. Fresh, how you doing?
Perhaps I'm repping the sweatshirt I bought last year in LA, but no, I'm not going to Arizona. I can't sneak in and steal my way into this one.
Yeah. All right, Fresh, it's Super Bowl time. It's going to be an interesting one here. What do you want to talk first? Like, Super Bowl it's because it's a single game. There's so much that goes with the Super Bowl, the pageantry, the bets, the performances, the commercials, and then they play football. What do you
You
want
know
to
what?
talk about first?
Let's talk about all the oddities that go along with the game itself. Not what we can save the matchup to the very end, but it's kind of looking at it's. I think it's the most overanalyzed sporting event every single year in the world. You kind of look at people pulling stats. They pull random scenarios from every angle, every nook and cranny, and throw them out there, and they become somewhat significant. For a couple of examples, you got Field Yates from ESPN tweeting out today. Both teams have scored the exact same amount of points, 446. Both have the exact same record of 16-3. Both are number one seeds in their conference. Both have 6 All Pros, including a Kelsey brother. And how none of those factor into the football game, but because it's the Super Bowl, they all become like a significant anecdote that needs to be talked about. And that's where, if this was a wild card game or week 12 or week 10, no one would care. But because it's the Super Bowl, that comes into play. Another couple examples. When you look at this is the youngest matchup of quarterbacks ever, 27-24, combined age of 51. You got the winner of the last 8 coin tosses has lost the game. So basically, when the coin toss happens, the rest of the game doesn't even matter. That's already been decided. Another one, teams that don't wear white are 20-36 in the Super Bowl. But Philly, don't worry. You guys wore green last time when you beat the Patriots. You're wearing green this time. Maybe it plays off. And another one I think is this is more of a recruiting thing, in my opinion, for anyone who even tracks this sort of thing. But coming into this playoffs, the only 2 schools that I've seen the team had been represented in the Super Bowl were LSU and Georgia since 2001. 21 straight years. LSU does not have a player this year. Georgia does. So 22 straight years of at least one player from a university participating in the Super Bowl. Why would that have any significance? Does the player as a backup or whatever? You never know. It's just sort of the way it rolls out. But these kind of stats are tracked and kept. And it kind of makes it where it's just different. It's unique. It's Americana. It brings a lot of things in a lot of weird scenarios together. Now, before I turn back over to you, I do have one question here. Do you know only 2 teams have been involved in one college football game that featured 3 future Super Bowl MVPs? Do you know the game or the teams or anything like that? Have any idea?
Wait, a college football game where 3 Super Bowl MVPs were in the game.
Correct.
Oh, you need to give this one to me earlier so I could have had a chance to think about this. I would sit here and think way too long on, and that's going to be bad for a podcast because we're going to have way too much dead air.
It was September 10th, 1994, Georgia versus Tennessee, had Peyton Manning, Terrell Davis, and Hines Ward all participate. I'm going to give that to credit to Patrick Garbin from Rivals and Yahoo Sports, but you figure a weird random game like that, and somehow you get 3 Super Bowl MVPs because MVPs sometimes are the superstars and sometimes are guys who are just role players who have success. But again, there's another stat that you bring out, say, hey, this is now a significance for the Super Bowl. So it's just a random thing of everything being thrown together, and that's what makes it so much more interesting and fun. It brings everybody together and gets everyone involved.
So we're talking Super Bowl, not like Georgia and SEC football here, right?
Yes, but
Okay.
I want to get my tie there. I got to pump my chest while I have a chance there, Seth.
I just wanted to make sure here because I was starting to be like, oh, okay, so this is how this record's going to go. Gotcha. Fresh, it's a game that I've been watching since I was a kid, and I was thinking about this, and I was thinking about all the different things that go along with this game as well. I All I ever hope for is that it's a game that I don't turn off at like the third quarter, because I've seen all the good commercials by the time the third quarter goes around. I If the game's out of hand, like I go back to it, I want to say it was the 49ers versus the San Diego Chargers way back when. I think I was a kid back then. I watched like the first quarter, and San Francisco jumps out to a huge lead. And I think I wound up going upstairs and playing like Super Mario World instead of watching that game. But it's always a game that I lock in for at least for majority of this game. I don't. This game is really difficult for me because I don't have a team like I'm pulling for one way or another in this. Usually, there's one team that I like a little bit more than the other. Like, yeah, I want to see this guy win it, or I don't want to see this guy win, so I'll root against them. And with Kansas City and Philadelphia, I don't know. I don't know about you. Like, if you have a lean in this game, I don't. I don't have a lean. None of these teams really impact. I'm a Browns fan naturally. Neither one of these teams really impact the Browns on a yearly basis. So I don't know. Where are you on who you rooting for in this game?
As a Packers fan, I'm still not over 4th and 26 from the early 2000s against the Eagles in that playoff game. Freddie Mitchell, why didn't you just drop the ball? But like you, I really don't have a lean in this game for like I can't stand that certain player, I can't stand that team. It's two proud NFL franchises and fan bases and a bunch of great players, and that's what's gonna, it's not like we don't have a villain. Tom Brady's not a villain per se, but to the NFL, most people,
Yeah.
everyone wanted to root against Tom Brady. You wanted to see him get beat, or if it was like the Seahawks. I watched a bunch of the Super Bowl replays over the weekend on NFL Network, and it was you saw some of those situations pop up where like I can't stand Richard Sherman and I want the Seahawks to lose, or I can't stand Tom Brady and you were so happy when the Giants rallied together and beat them, or when Philly beat them. You always had that villain. This game does not feel that way. And a little side note, when I was watching the Ravens Giants, a little friend of the show, Paul Bacour, does make an appearance on the highlight film. So if you ever want to watch that Super Bowl again, he's there right behind Brian Billick. But there's no villain in this game. It's two great teams, two great stories.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting to see like a team like the Eagles, who won a Super Bowl a few years ago. They wind up firing their coach. They wind up completely making over a team. And then all of a sudden now you're like looking at where they are and where they're able to get back to. All right, Fresh. So I'll give you one piece of trivia here. The only thing is, what team was the only NFL team to never have any interaction with the Super Bowl?
Never any interaction, like no lineage, no connection, no nothing.
Nothing.
Like the game was never played in the stadium or any of that
Yep.
stuff. Oof. Cleveland Browns?
The Cleveland Browns. Super Bowl. So the four teams that have never played in a Super Bowl, you got Jacksonville, you got Detroit, and the Houston Texans. All three of those teams have hosted a Super Bowl in their location, but there's never been a Super Bowl host in Cleveland, and the Browns have never been to a Super Bowl either. So that's always someday, hopefully someday before I die, I'll see the Browns in
The
there.
closest the Lions got was when the Lions hosted the Super Bowl a couple years ago. Yeah. I thought you were going to try to like carry it over because technically the Ravens were the Browns, but the New Age Browns, no connection at all.
Yeah, no, they're not the Browns. All right, Fresh. So we got some prop bets coming in because I actually have a lot more fun with the prop bets going into the season, or into this game. I shouldn't say into the season, but into this game. And I found them interesting because the first one I always think is the most fascinating one is the over-under for the national anthem. Okay, last year, national anthem over-under time was set at 2 minutes and 5 seconds. It was done by country singer Luke Bryan, and it came in at 2 minutes and 4 seconds. Now, this year, the national anthem singer is Chris Stapleton. He's doing an acoustic version of it, apparently. It's set at 2:05 again. Now, he's not going to do like where you hit the last note and you make that last note go on for 30 seconds. Not Christina Aguilera or Whitney Houston over here. But Where are you saying this? It's going to be a slower paced national anthem. You taking the over under on that one?
Well, this is a personal question before I answer it. Do you think that they know what the time is, and there's some hanky panky going on, or maybe over unders? Any is it all in the on up and up, or somebody have a play there somewhere?
I think it's on the up and up, man. It's got to be.
Well, I think Chris Staples has a more of a real dark, deep draw. I think it's going to go a bit longer than 205.
All right. All right. So you're taking the over in this. This is my other favorite one is color of Gatorade. So right now, the betting favorite is lime, green, or yellow.
Give me red Gatorade.
Red Gatorade's sitting at plus 700 right now. It's not bad.
I mean, well, that right there, you have to figure red Gatorade kind of means the Chiefs would have to win.
Yeah, I got blue Gatorade going on right now. So I like this whole like prop bet thing. I love the whole thing of who does the MVP speech mention first. Like, does he say like his teammates, God, the city, family member, coaches, owners? Doesn't mention any of the above in there. Like when he gives the
It,
speech.
it's just amazing where anything that could potentially happen that day is becoming a betting item. It adds to the excitement, the fun. Everybody's playing squares or has the prop bets, and you're fully locked in. Whether you know football or not, you're fully locked in for the entire game.
Yeah, or you're just yelling to the other room where someone else is saying it when the commercials come on too.
That's even better.
Yeah. So let's move over there, Fresh. And I think did we do it last year where we said like our favorite commercials from the Super Bowl?
We definitely dove into it a little bit, but they continue to keep growing and getting better as time goes on.
All right, so I'm going to ask you a different question for this year. And if you are on Twitter, if you're on YouTube, first off, if you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, get notified every time we come out with a new episode. But make sure you're checking this out. Leave us a comment in the comment section. Which company has produced the best Super Bowl ads? Which company? Would you say it's Budweiser? Would you say it's Doritos, Pepsi, Esurance when the Esurance baby? I'm trying to think of some of the other ones that have had McDonald's back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Who would you say? Which company has produced the best Super Bowl commercials?
Now, when you say Budweiser, is that like you're going to go Anheuser-Busch, the full official family?
No, I'm just saying Bud. I'll give you Budweiser and Bud Light.
Okay, so we're taking out the Clydesdales. Got it.
Well, Budweiser's Clydesdales are Budweiser.
Well, I'm saying like it's Anheuser-Busch, the whole parent organization, but we'll go from there. I will go with Budweiser. I'll go with Budweiser. There's a lot more series to keep rolling with that. I'll give you Budweiser.
So I was thinking, like, I'll go with Budweiser too for longevity. But if I don't go like longevity, because a lot of the Budweiser commercials and Bud Light commercials I like were the older ones that were done, I would actually go with. I went back and I've been watching like top 10 Super Bowl commercials on this or that or whatever, and I found that Doritos were like some of my favorite ones. I was like, oh, I forgot about that one. I forgot about the little kid who's like, keep your hands off my Doritos, or the guy that's like mocking the dog to come in and get the Doritos and stuff like that. I really love the Doritos commercials. Now, don't get me wrong. I look at me. I love Doritos as well. Cool Ranch are my favorite, but I found myself like really enjoying those commercials.
I like the Budweiser ones. You have like the frogs. You have the guys. What's up? The Bud Bowl. It just sort of carries on, but then you start getting the more nostalgia. That's why I kind of talked about the Clydesdales. You have the nostalgia ones with the horse and the kick of the ball and the dog and just all those the ways that kept going and growing the brand, where it had nothing really to do with beer per se. It was the fun environment or the nostalgic environment around the product itself.
Hey, so the weirdest thing though about this whole piece, Fresh, do you know what's ranked as like one of the best commercials of all time?
No idea.
Is like the 1984 Apple commercial, where like everyone ranks this. Like I went back and I watched them. Like, okay, it's good, and it's like I just don't get it why it's considered it's in like everyone's top 3.
I think it was just probably so revolutionary at the time because it didn't start black and white and was kind of very like
Yeah.
futuristic. And
Yep.
then obviously bringing the Apple computer into and technology and PCs and all that fun stuff. I was not around at that time, so I have no idea what it looked like. I've seen the replays obviously, but I think that was where it was so jaw dropping and awestruck that it was like, this has to be amazing.
Yeah. And Snickers has done a good job too. Like again, the Betty White Snickers commercial was really good.
Yeah, or was it Jason Momoa where he has the fake arms? That was the Stickers, right?
I don't remember that one. I'm trying to think. I believe so.
Where he's like the super skinny arms and like takes them off when he
Yeah.
gets home. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, I would be remiss if I didn't mention my all-time favorite is still Terry Tate, office linebacker. I still to this day like Terry Tate. If guys, again, if you're listening to this and you have no idea who Terry Tate is and the office linebacker, like press pause, go onto YouTube and watch office linebacker Terry Tate and check him out. It's an old Reebok commercial.
Yeah, but then definitely come back and finish up the episode.
Yeah. All right. Fresh their performances. We got Rihanna doing halftime here. Prop bets going on. And then, like I said, commercials, but there's football to be played. So we're 16 minutes into this episode already. Let's talk Eagles and Chiefs. Let's actually talk some football here. Anything you see this? Because, I mean, realistically, the Eagles should jump out pretty quick on this Chiefs team, you'd think. But, it's hard to bet against Mahomes for me.
Kind of looking at this game, like the flash that the Eagles have shown all year makes you really want to pick them. But somehow the Chiefs have just survived. They got rid of Tyreek Hill. They kept going through. They got through the ankle, injury, and they just keep playing it. And I think, you brought a great point there of like the Eagles, why they pop and why they should jump all over them. They have the third most sacks in an NFL season, playoffs included. They're within the reach of the 85 Bears for the most sacks all time in a season. Now, people have like this Eagles defense, they're okay, but we start talking about 85 Bears. Like that right there is like, all right, Buddy Ryan, that defense was legit. Mike Singletary, like this team was dominant. And if they can actually get to that mark, it puts a whole new twist on how good this Eagles team is. We all look at the offense and how flashy they are, but they have names all over that defense. And you kind of look at it, they have 4 players with 10-plus sacks. Hassan Reddick and Myles Garrett are the only 2 players with 10-plus sack seasons in the last 3 years each year. That's royal company right there. Myles Garrett, obviously a Brown, that's a nod to you. But then Hassan Reddick, the 2 of them are the only guys in the past 3 seasons that have 10-plus sacks each year. They're getting after the quarterback. They disrupt the offense. The top sack defense, and they have the number 2 pass defense in the league. So they are an elite getting after the quarterback, and they kind of go hand in hand. Pass defense is better when the quarterback's getting sacked or getting pressured and not getting rid of the ball on schedule. You look at the only problem, though, they are 32nd versus the run in the red zone. So if you get them in that 20-yard line, that defense sort of fades. They don't have that opportunity of the pass defense sort of getting there and allowing the pass rush to get home. That running game becomes very effective. They've got to work on that. But you look at the defense, Josh Sweat, Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, these are names who have been around. They've been able to contribute. But then you look at the veterans they brought in quietly. Robert Quinn, Lindell Joseph, and Ndamukong Suh. They have veterans on the defensive line that are able to keep us in waves coming after you, one after another. Do not expect them to get tired. Do not expect them to wear down because they just bring a whole new line shift, kind of like in hockey. They're bringing new guys in there. Some guys are plugging the hole, letting the edge rushers get after the quarterback. It's a full team effort. And you kind of look at the other side, the Chiefs, they do it in a different way. They're not going to chuck the ball 50, 60 yards down the field like they have in the past or seeing highlight reels of Mahomes rolling out and just releasing it. They are top 10 in the league in passes in air yards, 10 yards or less. They're going to dink and dunk. They basically make that their running game. Big time is Kelsey, but you look at bubble screens, little short passes, 2, 3, 4, 5 yards at a time. They aren't going to be chucking it down there. So that's going to minimize that pass rush, and I expect them to do a lot of that in this football game. Shorter passes, maintained possession, high efficiency throws too. You're not having to worry about Mahomes running for his life, not to worry about his leg as much, because that's still, I don't care what you say, the injury that happened, that's a 6 to 8 week injury to fully heal. They're going to have him hopped up on some pain pills and everything, try to protect him, but the short pass game is going to do more for that. And they do have a top 10 rushing attack in the red zone. So expect that to really become a play, counteracting that worst rush defense inside the red zone when they get down there, if they do obviously get down that side of the field. Um, I am kind of worried though. McCole Hardman not playing, hasn't really played much all year. They had a couple injuries last, in the 2 weeks ago. Juju Smith-Schuster getting dinged up, and Tony getting dinged up. They really haven't gotten the groove. Can MVS, can Kelsey, can Sky Moore, can they really be the receiving threats to allow this offense to thrive? Are we going to see a lot more of McKinnon? We're going to see a lot more of Pacheco. Clyde Edwards-Helaire got activated today. Is he going to be how effective is he going to be? He hasn't played in many weeks. Where is he going to fit into this offense? But they're going to have to use a lot of that running game, a lot of screen passes, a lot of bubble screens to minimize that pass rush from the Eagles, and also just maintain possession, find guys to catch the football. It's going to be a different kind of Chiefs offense. I think that's why it's playing into why the Eagles are going to win, why the Eagles will be successful. But you can't count out Mahomes. You can't count out Andy Reid. Another thing I'm really interested to see is that Chiefs defense. They're very prideful. They took care of business versus the Bengals. They've taken care of the Buffalo Bills, and they played hard against them all year long. They've played tough offenses, and they've been able to withstand aggressive moments and slow offenses down and grind it out and allow this Chief offense to score. You look at the front seven. They're very tough. You got Chris Jones, you got Frank Clark, Karlaftis there. You got linebackers Nick Bolton and Willie Gay Jr. They're a battle-tested team, but that secondary does the secondary is vulnerable. I think the pass rush is going to have to really be a little more effective to really drive home and protect that secondary, because at times they can get beat. We both saw T. Higgins and Jamar Chase go up and moss the defensive back. So if you get the ball up there and they receivers have talent, they can make it happen. But this front seven for the Chiefs is going to have to really get after Jalen Hurts and force that Eagles offense to get desperate. And then speaking of the Eagles offense, who have Devontae, Smith, A.J. Brown, Goddard, Miles Sanders, Kenny Gainwell, Boston Scott. But Jalen Hurts is the key. His ability with his legs, ability with his arm, he's shown it year after year after year. It's been doubted all the time, where people keep waiting for him to make that mistake, keep waiting for him to throw the interceptions, to fumble the ball, to look like a rookie. And he's 3 or 4 years into the league right now, and he continues to get better and better and better. Everyone's doubted him. He always shows up. I have a feeling he has the support and the trust of the entire team, and that makes him thrive. And this is going to be his coming out party in the end. I really think he's going to have a way to explode and show up. I don't see the Chiefs offense manufacturing consistently. The playmakers aren't fully healthy, and in this defense, this Eagles defense as a whole is going to find ways to shut them down. They're going to try to be creative early. The Chiefs are going to try to stay alive, but I don't think that they have the full playmakers that can challenge the Eagles consistently. Now, the last thing I'll finish it up here is, who have the Eagles actually truly played quarterback-wise? Tyler Heinicke, Daniel Jones, Cooper Rush, Kyler Murray when he was dinged up, Kenny Pickett, Davis Mills, Matt Ryan, Tannehill, Andy Dalton, Justin Fields. They haven't really played elite quarterback play week in and week out or consistently. They played Dak once, and they played Kirk Cousins, and they played Aaron Rodgers. And Aaron Rodgers got knocked out of the game. Dak and Aaron Rodgers, those two teams, the only guys that put up 30 points. So how is their inexperienced versus elite quarterbacks then come into play on the big stage where Mahomes has been there his third time? How is that going to really factor into this football game? And that's going to be something really interesting to watch as the game goes on. Will they get complacent? Will they actually start getting scared and worried and caught off guard by a veteran quarterback under center?
Yeah, Fresh. So I was thinking about this, and I went back and I started thinking about like the game being a blowout. Okay. And for some reason, I got the feeling like I could see the Eagles blowing out the Chiefs. And when I say that, I'm talking about 2-touchdown win, or more. And then, but I also felt like that is the least. I could see it happening, but it's also the least likely thing to happen. I don't know if that kind of makes sense to you, but I was thinking quite a bit about all the weapons that Philadelphia has, and it goes back to what do you want to say about Jalen Hurts? He's played fantastic during this playoffs, and he's doing everything he needs to do. But you look at a person like Miles Sanders. He's had 132 rushing yards in the playoffs so far, 2 touchdowns. Kenneth Gainwell has done real well at that point. Take a look at even Boston Scott. When you need a big time goal line carry, he's been great in those in those roles as well. And then you look at the kind of the three-headed monster they have in the receiving with Smith, Goddard, and Brown. I just look at this. The only problem is we're gonna know we're gonna we're gonna know how good Jalen Hurts is in this game, because this is going to be the first time I feel like he's going to be put in hot water. And you're not going to know how good he is until he's under that pressure, until he's under that duress to have to get the ball out a split second quicker than he wants to. When his first read and second read are covered, how quickly can he get to the third read in his progressions? Are they going to be able to, is Nick Sirianni going to be able to make the right call when it matters the most? We're talking about this. It goes back to the old saying that is from Any Given Sunday. Football is a game of inches, and at the end of the day, are these teams going to be when the chips are on the table and you're at 3rd and 7? There's 3.5 minutes left, and you need that first down to keep that drive going. Are you going to be able to dial up the right call in that moment? Like, you might move the ball up and down the field between the 20s, but when it matters the most and you really have to put it down there, is Philadelphia going to be able to make that play? I know Mahomes can make that play. He's done it time and time again. Like, it's so hard for me to sit there. I want to pick the Eagles. I really do in this game. I want to be like, yeah, I'm going with Philadelphia in this game. But that's my hold up there, is that if I pick Philadelphia, it means that I'm picking against Mahomes and Kelsey. And it's like, they only have these two players compared to Philadelphia. We went and listed all of the offensive weapons that Philadelphia has. And then you sit there and you go, well, Kansas City is really banged up. Mahomes is banged up. I don't care who you are. You can be on pain meds, but like, seriously, recovering that quickly from a high ankle sprain, if anyone's ever had a high ankle sprain, like, those are not fun, and you do not recover quickly from those things. And when you look at, like, they were playing their, 5th, 6th wide receiver the other week against Cincinnati, and Mahomes still gets it done. And you look at a guy like Pacheco. This kid's kind of come out of nowhere, especially later in the season, really started to get going. And then all of a sudden, like, Kansas City has a run game. He's averaging over 5 yards a carry, 5.5 yards a carry here. And then you look at, someone like, you have Kelsey, and Travis Kelsey is the best tight end in football right now. And he's not just your typical tight end. He's going to do the dirty work on the line. But then he's going to go out there, and he's caught 110 balls on the year, and you see what he does at that realm. You look at what Marquise Valdez-Scantling has done in this playoff. Like, I feel like Kansas City needs one more thing, but at the end of the day, if Kansas City is within, let's say, 6 points, and Mahomes has got the ball in his hand, and he's got the ball in his hand to end the game, like, Kansas City, I feel like, is going to win. And I just keep going, like, it's so hard for me to pick against Mahomes. It's so hard for me to pick against him. I don't know. I don't know on this game. And I guess that what makes it a good game. Like, the spread is 1.5 in favor of Philadelphia. But, is it going to come down to special teams? Is it going to come down to the kicking game? Is Coach McCord going to be excited because it's going to come down to the kickers? Great. Or is it going to come to, look at what Kansas City did in the return game against Cincinnati? Like, they had a couple of great returns, and I'm struggling here. So I'll let you make your pick first, because I think that I just got to have one more second to wrap my head around what I'm going to wind up picking.
Well, I mean, it's a great way you broke it down there, where you don't know what to choose, because this kind of game feels like we're going to have an obscure player who makes that crazy impact play. You kind of look, Super Bowls, there's always random heroes and there's always just a random GOAT, and not the Tom Brady GOAT or the LeBron James GOAT, but like the GOAT as in you choked it away. You had the Scott Norwood missing the field goal, but for every one of them, you have the Malcolm Butlers, the Dexter Jacksons, the Mario Manninghams, the David Tyrees, Deion Branch, Nick Foles, Tracy Porters, who aren't really the guy I would expect to show up and make a play. But if you can go back to the Super Bowl one, the random heroes even play off from that very first game, where the Packers were playing the Chiefs, and tight end Max McGee was the backup tight end. He scores the very first touchdown in Super Bowl history, but he actually didn't even expect to play in the game. He broke curfew the night before, out drinking in LA, partying it up, old 35-year-old dude. Starting tight end Boyd Dowler gets knocked out of the game early on in the first quarter. McGee comes in, really hazy. They played this game at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, so it wasn't like a whole day to rest it off. He comes in, hungover, 2 touchdowns, 7 catches, 138 yards receiving, and gets Super Bowl, and takes the Packers on to win the Super Bowl. It's always random people who make plays. I think that's going to be a big factor in this one. Which of those random other guys we haven't talked about shows up in a big moment and makes a play to decide the football game? I'm still going to go with the Eagles. I think that they just have a vibe across the board. The guys are energized. That defense is loaded with a bunch of superstars who I think will hold each other accountable down the stretch. It will not be a blowout. This will come down to a fourth quarter. Give me 34-28. Eagles win, and Philadelphia is going to go absolutely nuts and be an epic scene of video content.
Well, Philadelphia is going to go absolutely nuts regardless, win or lose here. Like the fans. Listen, I got a lot of respect for Eagles fans, man. Like, there's a couple of fan bases that if I was a player and I got drafted to one of those teams, I would say Buffalo is up there. Like, I love Bills Mafia. I'm a homer on this part. Like, I love Cleveland fans and being a Browns fan and the dog pound, and then Philadelphia fans too. Like, they will throw you under the bus if you don't perform, or maybe throw batteries at you or something like that. But at the same time too, if you're balling out for them and playing well, they're one of the most supportive fan bases in the world, and they're one of the most. I've found Eagles fans being some of the most educated football fans out there as well. So I have a lot of respect for all three of those fan bases. You go talk about Super Bowl MVPs here, Fresh, and I was kind of wondering, is this going to be like a game where we got a guy like Larry Brown who won the Super Bowl MVP in Super Bowl 30 for the Cowboys, or is this just going to go chalk and be like one of the guys like a Tom Brady MVP where he's in the Super Bowl and wins it and goes right to the quarterback there? Again, I think it's going to be close. I could see Philadelphia blowing out Kansas City. I just think they jump on them quick, fast, in a hurry. But again, I doubt that's going to happen. I just can't bring myself to bet against Mahomes. So I'm gonna go Kansas. I'll go opposite of you. I'm going Kansas City. I'm gonna go. Give me 31-30. I'm gonna go really close. I'm gonna go 1 point victory on there. Kansas City winds up pulling it off on either a last second field goal or last second touchdown. It's going to come down to the wire here. So I'll take a 1 point Kansas City victory.
All right. How terrifying would it be if it's 30-30 and you had to kick the extra point to win the Super Bowl? Like, if you're the long snapper holder or Harrison Butker, you're lost. Like, how, or even a game-winning field goal. Like, put yourself in their shoes and how you would feel.
Oh, I'd be peeing down my leg on that one.
Yeah, I mean, that's just it's like, if I make it, we win. If I lose, we're overtime, or if I miss, we lose. Like, that's terrifying right there. All of it riding on you.
Yeah. Although I would, at the same point too, like you say, you can't. There's got to be a break or two in the game where you let it get to this point. So, but the other thing too, I would say this before we go here, Fresh, because the game's on Fox this year. I recently have been kind of going through those old ESPN 30 for 30s and watched the Al Davis versus the NFL and what they did with Pete Rozelle and Al Davis. Can we get like holograms of Pat Summerall and John Madden to do this game? Like, if we can have Al Davis and Pete Rozelle come back from the grave and be a hologram, can someone do that for Pat Summerall and John Madden for us, or at least have it on like a separate station that we could watch that, and I would be entertained.
Like the Madden cast, like on FS1, put on like a simulcast like
Right.
that. That having like, or even just like you could take the voice and you could have the two of them do their thing. You could have John Madden or whoever does the voice, circling all the water buckets and the Gatorade buckets in the back and talking about the game and making it a fun environment. Because I mean, Kevin Burkhardt he's okay, but Greg Olson is a great color commentator. Does a great job. The two of them are getting the Super Bowl. If you're listening for their takes in the same environment, it is nothing compared to Summerall and Madden. And I think that would be a nice little touch, especially all the money they're spending in the Super Bowl. I think they can throw that out there for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Fresh. Well, we're at last football games in the book, but that means, ladies and gentlemen, we are moving into college basketball season here coming up. March is just a few short weeks away, which means we're bringing back the hostile takeover for our fans there. So we'll put some more information out there. We're going to make sure you are following us on Twitter, interacting with us as well. Got a couple of great other episodes planned for you in the near future, but lock in here to the Spinnable Sports YouTube channel. Like, subscribe wherever you get your podcast from, whether that's Apple, Spotify, Good Pods, and you guys know I don't know all. So why should I even pretend at this point? But wherever you get your podcast, make sure you like, subscribe, leave us that 5-star review because you guys know Fresh and I were those 5-star prospects. Want to give a special thank you to our producer, Drew. Without him, none of this is possible. He's going to be jumping on a few episodes, hopefully in the near future, talking some sports with us. Want to get him back on. We also got a returning guest coming on soon. Our legal eagle will be back here in about a month or so. We'll talk NFL draft in April, so make sure you're subscribing to the Spinnable Sports channel. Hit the notification bell. Do whatever you got to do so you know that every single time we drop a new episode, you're informed. Staying with us because you guys know we couldn't do it without y'all.
Nope, can't do it without y'all. Can't believe it's the last football game of the year, but like you said, college basketball NCAA tournament's on its way, and right after that, draft season. Hope we get a full 4-quarter football game that's full entertaining and not a blowout. With that said, y'all have a good one. Bye, y'all.